Hey, folks. Oh, we had 7, then it went down to 6. Where'd that one person go? Now it's 8. All right. I'm over it. Morning, Baron. I hope you're okay as well. I hope you're better than okay. Hi, Lori in Boston. All right. Right down the road from me. Hi, Michael. Good day, Jude. Morning, Kay. Nice group already. I like to see that. Motivated meditators. So I wonder if there's anybody brand new to the group. In about a minute, we'll do a short meditation. Uh, you know, maybe as much as 10 minutes. Usually less than 10 minutes. Then we'll talk about the subject, and then we'll meditate again for usually at least 15 minutes. I'll do guidance. But we'll have a nice chat in the middle. Hi, Ian. Good to see you here. I was watching the Holdovers movie the other night and wondered if it was set in your neighborhood. I don't know. I haven't seen that. Holdovers. I'll have to look that up. I'm well outside of Boston. I'm not in Boston proper, but I'll definitely jot that down. Um, Hi, Leslie. Oh, Paul Jim, he's great. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I don't know how I missed it. I'm writing it down in my notes right now, so I will be sure to look into it and see if I at least recognize the neighborhood that it's in. All right, let's uh, let's do our first meditation. Just bring us together here, settle us in. And we might, from the beginning, keep an eye on our internal speech, our verbal fabrication, as sometimes it's called, because of the topic today being about right speech. And all the things we do. Sometimes we might do some of the setup, without words actually forming, but there might be a directive that we can recognize. So when we're settling in with our body, directing our attention to the connection our body's making to the seat, the ground, and by extension, sometimes I like to imagine the whole earth in support of this seat, this spot. So, what picture might the mind create And sometimes it's in words, pictures, imagination. It's a composition of sorts. And then with feeling of that stability, moving up through the body, letting the body become settled in here, at ease, but also bringing that alertness we like to bring to the practice. We want to be awake for this moment. And as the body gets settled, coming into stillness, relative stillness, the one of the more obvious movements that still occurs is the rising and falling breath. And we have a relationship with our, the compositions we're making in words, in imagination, with the breath. It's a two-way street. We can compose long, deep breaths, medium breaths, short breaths. We can hold our breath temporarily. And we can also try to sort of pull back and allow the breath, sit back and notice. And this is something I'll usually do after intentionally breathing more deeply, trying to bring that nourishing breath to the body at the beginning. Then there is a time to pull back and allow. In terms of speech, it might be when we decide it's best to be quiet. There's a time for speaking, time for silence. Hi, Leela. Nice to see so many folks here. So now I'll just run through just some basic ideas about right speech. So I named today "Watch Your Mouth" because I decided, I want titles that draw people in. I'm just a shameless advertiser. I'm just kidding. Uh, it seemed like a funny way to put it after last week talking about Ajaan Lee's idea. It's not easy to attain a human mouth, so bow down to your mouth every day. So then I thought of the idea of watching your mouth. It's what we do in some aspects of meditation is watching, observing. So right speech, the general topic for today. Hopefully, it will inspire some speech in our discussion. Mind your lip. That's a new one to me. I like that. I'll try to integrate that into my day to day, especially with my 16-year-old. So right speech is one of the 8 in the Noble Eightfold Path. Started discussing it in a way in the guided meditation already. Nice. That it is obviously internal and external. We've talked recently and in the guided meditation about the idea of verbal fabrication, how we talk to ourselves. I think it's important because what comes out of us, begins on the inside, whether we're watching our mouth or not, or whether we're watching our mind or not. Words are going to come out, and if we don't spend any time paying attention to the internal stuff, it's going to come out, maybe a little haphazardly, maybe unskillfully. And of course, what's heard on the outside reverberates on the inside too. So, good idea to uh, guard against what comes in, and that is to say, we were just talking about a movie. Is it not to say that we're steel ourselves up so we never come across um, anything difficult, but also we don't want to do like a constant stream of crap. Basically, it's probably going to have some influence on our mind and, in turn, our speech. That's a good call. That's a good call. We can't actually see it. Um, so the basic features of right speech, the way it's taught in Buddhism is typically in what to avoid. It's taught in the negative, which is the case with a lot of the Buddhist teachings, like don't what not to do. Which there's obviously we can figure out what to do um, by extrapolation, but so lies are, I would say, the biggie is lies. Um, then divisive speech, harsh speech, and idle chatter. So lies, it's kind of an easy one. If it's known to you to be untrue, don't say it. And this is the one that is said that there are no exceptions to. There is obviously people discuss maybe some people think there should be exceptions. According to this, there aren't. But in one way or another, it's interesting to think of that we should think hard about it whether there's a place for that. Divisive speech. The real trick of it is to not even think it. Yeah. Um, telling a story about another person that is, meant to cast a negative light on them, and then that person will be less likely to want to associate with them. Uh, so that's divisive. You're dividing people. So it's something we should try to avoid. Harsh speech is just like it sounds. When possible, the attempt should be made to deliver speech in a way that's pleasant for the other person to hear. Um, we don't it's sort of, even at the in terms of, um, so timeliness is a big factor within these. When there's the right time to do something, you can kind of see sometimes if somebody's just not there with you yet. I mean, that to me, I think that can even be harsh speech. Like, when it's like, this person's overwhelmed already. I'm not going to bring my story of overwhelm to them at this moment, even if they're, sometimes, the good confidant for you. You should maybe, especially because of that, maybe judge that, are they, are they in a state to receive this? So it's just a way to watch what we say. Um, and then idle chatter. And I like to also think of this as a lazy speech, because, as well, I'll get into in a second too, that there are exceptions for all of them except for lying. But why does idle chatter even matter at all? I think it's because it's lazy. It could lead to gossip that could cast a negative light on somebody. It could lead to, divisive speech, or it could lead to lies. Casual. Let's see. Oh, cool. Just checking out. Um, so I said, lying being the only overtly forbidden factor, because, like I said, timeliness is, has to be brought in for the others, because, there is a time for idle chatter, and that's as a social lubricant to, should be. It's kind of what I do in the first 3 minutes here, because I want to allow time for people to come in. I could just sit there and stare at the screen, but I think it's a little bit more pleasant if I make a little chit chat. You know, uh, the exception for divisive speech, the classic example is to push somebody, get somebody away from someone who is abusing them. So if you're able to talk them into, getting away from an abuser, that would be a kind use of divisive speech. And for harsh speech, the classic example is, um, preventing a child from running into traffic. Like, even though your yelling voice might make them cry, if it makes them stop in their tracks so they don't run into the street, then, that is a logical exception. So you can extrapolate from that. Actually, no speech can be harsh too. For example, people. Oh, no speech at all can be harsh. People often do not reply to emails, ignore, even when they have reached out for me for a new job. Yeah, yeah. It can. It's sort of like a non-speech can be kind of rude speech. Yeah, could be considered harsh speech. That's a good idea. No longer sit in the tea room for my morning break at work, as there is nearly always gossip, and I don't enjoy being in that environment. It's also nice to have some headspace during the day. Yeah, yeah. I don't like, being around that too much either, where it's, yeah, it's divisive speech. Like, I mean, sometimes there's some light gossip that's friendly enough, and you might, if it's something you could bring into that person that you're talking about. But if sometimes it's obviously not that. Um, yeah. So just to put it out there, sometimes this is uh, you'll see right speech talked about in the positive, and that's generally put forth as truthful, kind, beneficial, and timely. So you can see how that works into what we've already talked about. And I kind of think of um, I think of it as imbued with goodwill. Like the whole thing is imbued with goodwill. It's like the way our intentions are in general, and the kind and beneficial um, kind of go together there. But you can talk about the distinctions there, and if anyone would like to kind of go through those distinctions, but one way or another, uh, you want it to be received well, and you want it to be propelled by good intentions. So um, I would like to read JB here. So, for no exceptions to the lies, if someone asks us something personal we don't want to share, would it be forbidden to lie? G, are you on medication? And you say no. Um, so the way one of my teachers that I like to follow would say it is, in that case, it might be good to know in advance that this might come up, something that you want. And he would say to use ingenuity. See, I'm not saying this is easy at all. Um, and it's also the idea of it being forbidden isn't exactly it in the Buddhist way. It's about the conditioning of the mind. So um, you don't want, in general, to say something that like to be false. Um, you might say something like, if someone asks, are you on, do you take medication? You could say, I take some medications that, don't really feel like getting into it or something like that. It is something I think each person has to judge on their own. And I'm not like, I don't know anyone who's perfect at this. There may be, maybe I do know somebody, but, I think it's just something to keep in mind and work with. But that is a really good question. It's a good example. I appreciate that because everyone uses the if you're hiding, fugitives from some kind of tyrant, like, then they come to your door and ask, like, are you hiding them? That's sort of that's the example most people use. So I like your more normal example. That's good, Leslie. So you do getting this. It's just in particular sometimes the break room is can be a little toxic. Or, um, yeah, definitely. Let's see. I remember I have to open this up a little bit so I can see more of your comments. Yeah, I mean that's definitely an answer you could give, Michael. That is a personal question, but that might be hard to say to some people. It's like if it is a friend um, that you do share some stuff with, but yeah. Let's see, I'm trying to catch up. Reply. Cool. Yeah, let's not go into personal areas. Yeah, I mean, well, curious about the fugitive question. That it's the same answer. It's that you know, I think in a way it's meant to inspire like this idea of ingenuity in the mind, because he says that the practice requires ingenuity. It requires that we um, know our minds like backward and forward in a way, so that we can't deceive ourselves. So that's the reason that lies are forbidden, quote unquote, is that if we can lie outside, if we can't figure out how not to lie outside, we're going to lie to ourselves. And a person who can lie to themselves can convince themselves to do anything, right? So it makes you unsafe, so to speak. So it's, in a way, it's kind of a koan. Like, I don't know how I would respond. It would be very dependent on the situation. I mean, you might respond with a question like, "Are you? Is there anybody like? Should there be somebody in my house? Like, what? Why would there be someone in my house? Put it back on them. Like, you know the answer why, but like, make them. You might even awaken something in them that needs to be awoken if you ask them the question. Let's see. Jid saying, I really struggle in a workplace environment with others. When I worked in building sites, the amount of unpleasant shit talk and the energy needed not to respond really disturbed me. I'm much happier working alone or with brother. Yeah, I can see that. I've worked in construction also. And it depends. Sometimes it's a little off colored, but I can roll with it. And then there have been other times where it's just been like, eh. But so Leela also saying that there was toxic chatter at her job. Found that when I did not engage, people got mad at me, and then would even maybe talk about me. Wow, that's interesting. That you actually saw the yeah, because they want you in their little you know the little tribal tribe of negativity or something, you know because they probably inside knew that they were you know doing something wrong. They thought you were going to rat them out. um oh, the teacher I generally refer to one main teacher. It's Tanisaro Biku, um, aka Ajaan Jeff DeGraff, who has a monastery in Southern California. Teaches Thai forest. He comes from a Thai forest tradition. He went to Thailand and yeah, liked it a lot. Apparently, became a monk, came back, and he became the second teacher. The first was a Thai fellow, and the second was him as the who running the monastery, the abbot. So yeah, highly recommend his stuff. Yeah, that can be tricky, Leslie. Yeah, the club, the gossip club. They should just join a gossip club, and then everyone who doesn't join obviously is going to be the subject of the gossip. Let's see, casual conversational racism or sectarianism that is it's assumed you agree with if you don't object, and if you do object, a chasm can open in a blink. Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I found it may be. I have people on across the political spectrum who assume that I agree with them, um, and I pretty much disagree with all of them. So, I mean, there's usually something, you know. It's what are you gonna do? I'll recommend to them something like there might be a bigger story there. Listen to this. Yeah, important to be kind in our speech. To be kind, to be timely. Timely is a big one. You don't want to embarrass someone. in front of, we don't want that to be. So ways to respond to harsh speech. Yeah, I mean, that depends. First, watch our own mind. Uh, I would say, getting into a screaming match doesn't really help much. Sometimes you do have to be assertive, though. If you're getting, if harsh speech is coming at you, you think it's unjustified, and you know, you might, just say some cold, be like, no, maybe be quiet, and maybe you'll seem deadly underneath because of your coolness and calmness. Um, People like tribes, and anyone not in it is viewed as outsider enemy, which triggers their ego survival instincts. Division causes suffering. Realizing we are 99.9% the same DNA is what tribes need to realize. It's a good theme. How do we navigate difficult conversations with people who assume we think the same? Many have lost friends or family due to these conflicts. It's true. Yeah, I've definitely, uh, I've definitely seen division because of, disagreements, and not always. Sometimes there's a lot of assumption and interpretation that doesn't necessarily mean what people think it means, or uh, sometimes things get encoded from another side. Like if someone says this, it always means this. So they have to be pushed. So I think that's something to consider as well. That when dealing with people of like in different crews, there's going to be the speech is going to be encoded differently. You know, yeah. Try to remember that the harsh speech is directed toward me. That the person sending it my way is suffering. That is a good answer. Yeah, in answering Liz's question, another one was um, think of it just in term like kind of strip it down. An unpleasant sound is in contact with my ears. That's kind of a good way to break it down. Break it down to the just the sense level. It's just an unpleasant sound. You know, and obviously we have to decide: are we going to be in relationship with this person? Do we have to be in relationship to this person? Let's see. It's going fast now, so I may not see all of yours. I apologize if I miss any uh, questions, but yeah, Christmas is a great opportunity for putting these lessons into practice. Yeah, like gathering with family and stuff. I assume. Yeah, it's not easy in the moment not to get triggered for sure. By seeing their suffering, we don't create our own mind-made suffering by the trigger. Exactly. Yeah, that's the last thing we want to do is to perpetuate it. We're trying to put an end. You mentioned that right speech is timely, and what else? Wanted to write those down, but I think I missed one. The positive aspects. It's truthful, kind, beneficial. Are those the ones like on the positive side? Because yeah, we started out with what they're not, which was lying, divisive, harsh speech, and idle chatter. Um, so let me know if I'm answering your question for sure. Um, Also, I guess I'll mention this right now too, because yeah, we're getting close to the end of the chatting part. I'll do another meditation, guided meditation soon. Uh, we also meet up in a one of the InsightTimer groups. Um, we call ours the Mark Zelinsky Live Group. Actually, do I have that as a thing? No. Whoops. Hope I don't. Well, anyway, um, let's see here. Oh yeah, I will put. Let's see. I'm gonna put my thing there real quick. The that's my just my profile on InsightTimer. So if you like go to that, actually I don't know. Is that gonna just pull you away from the live session? I have no idea, guys. Anyway, that's my name. Uh, Go to InsightTimer groups and join the group called Mark Zelinsky Live Group, and it's a good place for follow up questions. It's a good place. Like I can post like big long quotes there that wouldn't really make sense to post here, uh, and then you can just copy them and paste them into something else or whatever. Let's see. So okay, I'll I will knock that down now so that I can see the chat again here. Um, does timely fit into beneficial? Yeah. So I think I would say, well, the way they put it, the way it is put, um, like I said, the where lying being the one that's not dependent is the only one that's not dependent because we are trying to never do that. Um, Timeliness comes into all of them. Um, so you could say when we're talking about the positive side of them, truthful, kind, beneficial, and timely, we want them all to be all of those things. Like when we speak, we want them to fit in those categories. Something that you would say, something kind and beneficial and truthful that you want to say. Um, you wouldn't wake someone up in the middle of the night to say it because sleep is important, right? So that's not timely. And then there would be a certain time. It might be the right time to say something, but it wouldn't be beneficial because of. So it's it's really mental exercises to get us working toward thinking about how we speak, how we put words together, our verbal fabrication, as it's sometimes called. So hope that's helpful, and I can even just post these notes there if people are interested in. I just have a couple notes and that have, or I can post like some um, like a quote that has these in it from the suttas or something. So cool. Oh, good. I'm glad that was helpful in the last in the chat from last week, Jude. Thanks. Yeah, yeah. There was a big long one that I ended up putting in the live group. Again, it's not a very busy place. We don't spend a lot of time there, but sometimes it gets a little busier. And if you just want to like put something, if you want to share something, if you write or if you have a teacher that you want to share, people do that all the time. Check out this guy or here's this meditation or read this book. You know what I mean? So, oh, it's the same teacher that I mentioned, Tanisaro Bhikkhu. Um, yeah, that's who. If I mention in the chat earlier, like, oh, I have a teacher sometimes says that's the one, unless I state otherwise, it's generally him. uh, for Buddhism, that's the guy, that's my guy. Not that I haven't listened to others, but is my favorite and very searchable website and everything. Yeah, that's good, Leslie. Yeah, reading the room. Yeah, reading the room, reading yourself. That's a good. It's like knowing where we are placing our attention. Oh, that's something I can do here, and I think that's allowed. You're not supposed to share websites and stuff. So, and I think I mentioned him in the last one too. You go, and I'll throw another post up there that that says it. He actually has some meditations on InsightTimer. Um, they probably not a lot, but I mean he's got loads and loads of them elsewhere. But the one you could definitely check out the ones on InsightTimer. Uh, it's good stuff. All right. Shall we do our final guided meditation then? Feels like we've kind of covered we ran around the block a couple times. Okay. So now we might notice we've been applying our awareness, our attention kind of outward with each other in the group, sharing some ideas. So now all that attention is being pulled in, turned inward. And so we want to, like we said, speech is internal and external. So now we want to apply those same ideas to how we talk to ourselves. We might not typically think of the timeliness of certain kinds of breathing, but it is a thing. If we're very active and running around, quicker breathing makes sense. It's timely. We always want the thoughts we're putting together to be beneficial. It's sometimes hard to know, you know. So that's why we do tend to simplify it first with the body and the breath. There's not too much to lie to ourselves about, be divisive about, harsh. We're just focusing on this body being upright, at ease, and just the reality of each rising and falling breath. What part of the breath am I in right now? Am I in the in breath? Am I at the top of the in breath as it begins to fall? The out breath. What's the shape the breath takes in our body? There's a kind of an energetic signature in a way. Each breath, and each one is probably slightly different than the last. Think of each breath like a fingerprint, none like the one before it, but having a pattern, having a semblance. And at first, we're just going on recommendation. We're told that settling in with the breath and body is a place that can begin to lead to peace. But we don't know that necessarily, especially if we've only just begun a practice. We might have gathered some evidence to the affirmative. Maybe that's one of the places that truth comes in. Not that we were overtly, attempting to lie to ourselves before, but that there was just not much to this thing. Maybe an idea that there wasn't. Breathing is just breathing. It's boring. So being open to new possibilities of beneficial mindfulness of body, mindfulness of breath, and then coming along with that will be the feeling tones, the sensation of refreshment, pleasure in just this feeling the body, feeling the body as a whole, feeling the breath coming and going within this field, leaning into the refreshment, goodness, even rapture, they say. And if we're not feeling refreshed, feeling stale, we might say, what is it time for? It's the timeliness fact. Is it time for I have been holding my breath a little. Let's begin again and take a nice, long, slow, deep breath. Fill the space as much as possible and become refreshed. So it's a moving toward ease or moving toward well-being, but it can be a very active thing. This staying in curiosity of, is this beneficial now? Is this the time? Is this kind? Is it for my long-term well-being? Is it true? The same for our mind state. Is it a mind state that is beneficial? Think of the mind state as like a weather system. Is there still some darkness and something here that can be flushed out? And the clue to that might be the thoughts that begin coming in. And then we can give those thoughts the same treatment. Are they timely? Are they beneficial? Is this true? Is this true? Is this true enough to be added into or tested? Sometimes talk about holding beliefs like feathers instead of like stones, instead of like something heavy. If we don't know, we still, to come to know if it's true and beneficial, we have to pick it up and walk with it for some time. And if the realm of mind states, the realm of thoughts, seems to bring me too far away, if I forget my breath, if I forget my body, can always begin again. I've found this to be true, that I don't have to worry that I've broken some rule of concentration, of jhana practice, just beginning at the beginning again. Find my grounding, my connection with the earth, move up through my body, let the body be upright and at ease. Find the breath. let the mind sense, let the body sense refreshment. It's a little reward for staying here as the food of concentration. And when we're feeling a little concentration, a little fullness, ease, settledness, we might think, what can we drop? I don't maybe need to control the breath as much anymore if I'm still doing that. Or maybe the verbal fabrication, the talking was suddenly it seems loud, unnecessary. Pull back, let go. So we make initial efforts, even just coming to the room and sitting down. It's part of the putting it together, but we don't have to keep entering the room and keep sitting down. We might not have to keep telling our breath what to do. So that's no longer timely. We let that pass. Excuse me. All right. That's what we do. So, thank you all for being here. Thank you, everyone who comes almost every week. And thank you, new people, for coming to check it out. If you want to check it out more, follow me and join the Mark Slinsky Live group. Thanks, JB. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. Awesome. Thanks, Baron. Appreciate that. Right on. I always feel lighter afterward. I'm always happy that we did this together. Thanks, Leslie. Appreciate that. And thank you, everybody. We do this almost every Sunday around this time. So keep a lookout for the next one, and I'll keep a lookout for you in the thing. And any requests you have, like, oh, could you, like JB was asking about the factors of right speech, like just come to the live group and just be like, oh, could you remind me of this? And I'm always happy to do that. You can always send me a private message too if you prefer. I really like engaging with people outside, um, about these things outside of this, because it's just once a week. But yeah, always happy to answer emails and all that stuff. It's fun for me. I like to talk about it, so that's why I'm here. So, all right, guys, have a great week. We will see you soon. Adios.